Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and today I have my amazing co-host, Julia, with me.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here again. Today, we have a really interesting topic that can help you improve your English and grow faster in your life.
That's right. Our topic today is listen more, speak better, grow faster. If you want to speak English confidently and improve quickly, this episode is for you.
Yes. Many learners focus only on speaking, but listening is actually the first and most important step. When you listen more, you understand English better and speaking becomes much easier.
Exactly, Julia. And the best part is, you don't need to spend hours every day. Even just 10 to 15 minutes of focused listening can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And today we're going to give you simple tips, practical exercises, and examples that you can use right away to improve your listening, speaking, and personal growth.
So get ready, stay focused, and let's start this journey together. By the end of this episode, you'll have easy steps to listen more, speak better, and grow.
Let's go!
So, Julia, before we start talking about speaking, let's focus on the first step, listening. Why do you think listening is so important for English learners?
Well, Jason, listening is like the foundation of a house. If your foundation is strong, everything else will be strong too. When you listen carefully, you start noticing how native speakers pronounce words, how they use expressions, and how they structure sentences.
That's true. Many learners try to speak first, but they struggle because they haven't heard English enough. Listening helps you understand the rhythm and flow of the language. It's like filling your brain with English before you start using it.
Exactly. And there's a big difference between passive listening and active listening. Passive listening is when you hear English but don't focus. Active listening is when you really pay attention. You try to understand, repeat, and remember new words and phrases.
Ah, I see. So just watching a show in English quietly isn't enough. You have to really focus and notice how people speak, right?
Yes. For example, if you hear someone say, "I'm looking forward to it," you should think about what it means, how it's said, and maybe even try saying it yourself. That small practice makes your brain remember it better.
That makes sense. Listening is not just hearing words. It's learning how English works naturally. And the more you listen, the easier it is to speak confidently without translating in your head.
Exactly. And the good news is you can listen anywhere, on the bus, at home, or even while walking. Podcasts, videos, songs, and conversations are all great ways to practice.
Perfect. So the first step to speaking better is simple. Listen more, notice, and absorb English every day.
Yes, Jason. And later in this episode, we'll show you how to use what you hear to speak naturally.
So, Julia, now that we understand why listening is the first step, let's talk about how listening actually helps us speak better.
Yes, Jason. When you listen carefully, your brain starts to notice patterns in English, like common phrases, sentence structures, and pronunciation. Over time, you can use these patterns naturally when you speak.
That's interesting. So, listening is like a practice before speaking. It's like filling your toolbox with the right words and phrases.
Exactly. And here's a tip. You can shadow what you hear. That means repeating words and sentences exactly like the speaker. Try to copy their tone, rhythm, and speed. It really helps you speak more naturally.
Ah, so if I hear someone say, "I can't wait to see you," I should try saying it out loud the same way, with the same feeling.
Yes, that's perfect. And the more you repeat and practice, the easier it is to remember phrases. Then, when it's your turn to speak, you don't need to think too much. You just use what you've already heard.
I see. So listening is not just about understanding, it's also about training your mouth and brain to produce English naturally.
Exactly. And don't worry if you make mistakes while repeating. Making small mistakes is part of learning. The key is to listen, repeat, and practice regularly.
That makes so much sense. So the secret to speaking better is really listening more, repeating, and using what you hear in your daily life.
Yes, Jason. And in the next part, we'll share some practical listening techniques that you can start using today to improve your speaking fast.
All right, Julia, we've talked about why listening is important and how it improves speaking. Now, let's get practical. How can our listeners listen effectively every day?
Great question, Jason. First, I suggest listening to English content every day, even if it's just 10 to 15 minutes. Podcasts, short videos, songs, or news clips are perfect. The key is to focus on understanding and noticing new words, expressions, and pronunciation.
That sounds easy enough. But sometimes I find it hard to stay focused when I listen. Any tips for that?
Yes, that's where active listening comes in. Don't just hear the words, try to repeat them, write them down, or explain them in your own words. Even if you don't understand everything, focus on the important phrases or sentences.
So instead of just playing a video in the background, I should really pay attention and maybe even pause to repeat or write.
Exactly. Another tip is to listen in small parts. For example, pick one short paragraph or one sentence at a time. Listen, repeat, and practice it until you feel comfortable. Then move on to the next part.
That makes sense. And what about different accents? Sometimes I get confused with British, American, or Australian English.
Good point. Try to expose yourself to different accents gradually. Start with one accent, then mix in others. Over time, your brain will adapt, and it becomes easier to understand everyone.
I like that. And I guess listening doesn't have to be boring, right? You can listen to topics you enjoy, like hobbies, movies, or interesting stories.
Exactly, Jason. Listening is more fun when it's about something you love. Also, using transcripts or subtitles can help. First, listen without reading, then read while listening to check your understanding.
So, to sum it up, listen daily, focus actively, repeat small parts, practice with different accents, and enjoy the content.
Yes, if you do these steps regularly, your listening will improve, and speaking will become much easier.
Awesome! Next, we'll talk about speaking practice methods that make the most of what you've listened to. All right, Julia, now that we've focused on listening, it's time to talk about speaking practice. Listening is important, but how can learners actually start speaking confidently?
Yes, Jason. First, I always tell learners, speak every day, even if it's just a few sentences. You can start by talking to yourself. Describe what you're doing, your plans, or even your thoughts in English.
Talking to yourself? That sounds a bit funny, but I know it works. It's low pressure and you can practice anytime.
Exactly. Another effective method is shadowing. Remember what we talked about in listening? You listen to a sentence or phrase and then repeat it exactly like the speaker. This helps your pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence.
Right. And what about speaking with other people? Some learners feel nervous talking to others in English.
Good point. Start small. You can speak with friends, language partners, or online groups. Even 5 to 10 minutes a day is enough. The key is consistency and not being afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning.
So it's better to speak a little every day than speak a lot once in a while?
Exactly. Daily practice helps your brain remember words and phrases naturally. And another tip, record your voice. Listen to yourself and notice areas to improve, like pronunciation or sentence flow.
That makes sense. So the main methods are talk to yourself, shadow, speak with others, and record yourself.
Yes, Jason. And remember, it's not about perfection. It's about using what you've listened to, practicing regularly, and gaining confidence over time.
Perfect. After this, we'll discuss how all of this helps you grow personally while improving English. Julia, we've talked a lot about listening and speaking, but how does all of this connect to personal growth?
Great question, Jason. Learning to listen and speak better in English isn't just about language. It also builds confidence, communication skills, and self-discipline.
So when learners practice every day, they're not just improving English, they're also improving themselves.
Exactly. For example, when you listen carefully and speak regularly, you start expressing your ideas clearly. That confidence carries over to school, work, or social situations.
That's true. I've noticed that learners who practice consistently feel more comfortable speaking in front of others, not just in English, but in general.
Yes. And another important part is growth mindset. When you listen, repeat, and practice, you see progress slowly but surely. This teaches patience and persistence, two key skills for personal growth.
I like that. So listening and speaking regularly doesn't just make you fluent, it also makes you more confident, disciplined, and motivated.
Exactly, Jason. And remember, every small step counts. Even listening 10 minutes and speaking 5 minutes every day adds up. Over time, you'll see huge improvements in both English and your personal development.
That's really inspiring. So, by focusing on listening and speaking, we're not only learning a language, we're also growing as people.
Yes, and next we'll cover common mistakes learners make and how to avoid them so your progress stays smooth.
Julia, before we finish, let's talk about some common mistakes English learners make when trying to improve listening and speaking.
Yes, Jason. One big mistake is overthinking. Many learners try to translate everything in their head before speaking. This slows you down and makes you nervous.
Right. Instead, learners should try to think in English, even in small sentences, and just start speaking.
Exactly. Another mistake is not practicing consistently. Some learners study a lot one day, then stop for a week. This makes progress slow.
So it's better to practice a little every day than a lot once in a while.
Yes. And one more mistake is fearing mistakes. Learners sometimes avoid speaking because they're afraid of being wrong. But mistakes are a natural part of learning.
That's true. Every mistake is a chance to learn and improve. The key is to listen, practice, and keep going without fear.
Exactly, Jason. Avoid these mistakes and your progress will be faster and smoother.
All right, Julia. It's time for a quick practice exercise for our listeners.
Yes. Here's a simple one. Listen to a short sentence or phrase in English, then repeat it aloud exactly like the speaker. Try to copy the pronunciation, tone, and speed.
For example, if you hear, "I'm excited to learn English today," pause and repeat it 2 or 3 times.
Do this for 5 to 10 minutes today and notice how your speaking improves. The more you repeat, the easier it gets.
Remember, small daily practice makes a big difference over time. All right, Julia, let's quickly review what we learned today.
Sure. The key points are listen more, speak better, and grow faster. Listening builds your foundation, speaking regularly improves fluency, and consistent practice helps you grow personally.
Remember, focus on active listening, daily speaking, and small, consistent steps. Over time, you'll see real progress in both English and your confidence.
Yes, even just a few minutes each day can make a big difference. Stay consistent, stay motivated, and keep practicing.
Before we finish, Julia, let's encourage our listeners to take action.
Absolutely. Listeners, start listening and speaking a little every day. Try the exercises we shared today, and you'll notice your English improving quickly.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more tips and exercises. Share this episode with your friends who want to listen more, speak better, and grow faster.
Yes, keep practicing, stay motivated, and we'll see you in the next episode.